Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about knee health, and I'm going to teach you 3 simple exercises that could be really useful for you in terms of dealing with pain and discomfort with your knees. Now, if you have cranky knees, you've probably done some quad stretches. You've probably done some hamstring stretches. Maybe you've even added some quad strength. And to be honest with you, that approach leaves a lot of gaps. And if it were me, I wouldn't do any of that. I would do it completely different. And so today I want to show you what the next steps might be, how to expand your thinking and take more of a neuro approach. I'm going to teach you a joint mobilization for your knees. I'm going to teach you an opposing joint exercise, and I'm also going to show you a neuromechanic drill, which is a mobilization for a peripheral nerve. Are you ready? Let's do it. This first exercise is definitely a favorite of mine. It's called a knee circle. Here's how you're going to begin. You want to step forward and at a diagonal into this lunge stance with both your feet pointed forwards. We're going to be targeting the knee on your forward leg, and the idea is to take your knee through a full circle. This is what it looks like. So in order to take my knee through a circle, you'll notice that your hip is involved. It's rotating in and out, and your foot and ankle is involved. And those other joints that are moving as well allow you to access that circle with your knee. Now, as I'm going through this circle with my knee, I'm keeping my foot grounded. I'm keeping my heel on the ground and making sure that my foot isn't pivoting, okay? Next, I want to make sure that I'm getting my, creating a circle that is at my full range of motion. So in order to get the inside of the circle, I have to rotate my hip all the way in. That allows my knee to access the inner part of the circle. As I trace the inside of the circle, eventually I start transitioning to the front of the circle, where now my knee is traveling over my toes, but I'm working to keep my heel down. From there, my knee starts to go to the outer part of the circle, in which now my hip is rotating out to allow my knee to access that part of the circle. And then finally, I return to a fully locked out position, rotate in, and repeat. Okay, now, of course I can go both directions. And I want to move nice and slow, really controlled. There's no need to move quickly. Okay, so let me show you from a slightly different angle. I'm going to switch both my angle and the target side. So now I'm working on my right knee. And I want to shift our attention now to my foot. Watch how as my knee comes to the inside of the circle, the arch of my foot actually flattens. It stretches. We want that. Now, as I move to the outside of the circle, notice how the arch of my foot is contracting and building. We also want that. So this is just as much of a foot exercise and mobility drill as it is a knee mobility drill. Again, your foot, ankle, and hip are very much involved. Here's the direction change. And it's good is if I can see my midfoot moving in and out, that's good. I just want to make sure that I'm not accidentally ending up in kind of an ankle tilt where I'm on either the instep or the outside of my foot and my foot is no longer grounded. As long as my foot stays grounded and I allow the arch of my foot to both stretch and build, that's what we're looking for. As with all of our joint mobilizations, as we're moving through this range of motion, trying to stay tall, maintaining good posture, staying relaxed, and making sure that we can breathe. So why is this exercise important? I want you to think about it in a very simple way. You're improving your proprioceptive map when you get good at knee circles. Here's the idea. Your brain has a map of your body, and we want all the different areas on that map to be clear. Okay? A clear map means that you have good control over that body part. You're able to access full ranges of motion. And a blurry area on that map means that you haven't learned how to move that body part. Maybe you have past injury, or maybe just through disuse over time, you've developed blurry spots on your map. If your knees are blurry spots on that map, blurry spots by themselves are enough to drive up threat levels and increase your pain. So to clarify your proprioceptive map when it comes to your knees, start practicing your knee circles and really gain control and learn how to access those full ranges of motion, and your brain and your body are going to be very happy about that. The next exercise is a very important one, and it is much more specific than just generally moving your knees. Basically, what you're going to do is move your opposite elbow to your painful side. So here's the important part that you need to know. If you want to do something for your left knee, let's say you have left knee discomfort and pain, you would actually move your right elbow. So the opposing joint to your left knee is your right elbow. Let's say you have right knee pain and you want to do something to affect that pain. If it's on the right side, the opposing joint to your right knee is your left elbow. So first, before you do anything, you have to decide which knee are you trying to potentially affect, and that's where our opposing joint theory comes into play. So I'm going to demonstrate by moving my right elbow, which is the opposing joint, to my left knee. So I'm just hypothetically saying, okay, I have left knee pain. Now, we're going to do a mobilization for the elbow, and it's called an elbow top circle. It looks like this. Yes, I know it looks too simple to be effective, but bear with me. Let me explain some of the nuances to the drill. We're essentially taking our elbow through a full range of motion with flexion and extension. But we're also adding in a rotational component of the forearm, and that's actually the most important part. So here's how we do this. Take your arm out at a 45, close your hand, just make a light fist, and the first thing that I want you to do is take your thumb and bring it towards your shoulder. This is elbow flexion, and I want you to squeeze your bicep muscle so that your elbow flexes as much as it can. From here, watch my hand and my thumb. I'm now going to rotate at the forearm so that my thumb is pointed up. Okay, that's supination of the forearm, and I'm going to hit my end range of motion, meaning I can't go any further. From there, I'm going to maintain that end range of motion as I slowly start to extend through my elbow, making sure that I fully lock out. Once I arrive at a full lockout, I flip my hand back over. Okay, so that's the pronation part of the mobilization, and again, I want to go as far as I can and then rinse and repeat. So I'd come in towards the shoulder, rotate, hold that end range of motion, fully lock out, flip it back over. And then once you get comfortable with it, you don't need your thumb out. Okay, so I'll just use a light fist here, and I start flowing it together, making sure that I'm hitting my full range of motion. Okay, now we can go the opposite direction, where now I would rotate my forearm the opposite way, okay, when it's in the flexed position, fully extend, and now when I fully lock out, I'm supinating, okay? Keep that supination. Now pronate and extend, okay? And you can hear in my voice, like I'm working hard to do this. I'm using my muscles to pull my bones into their greatest range of motion. And you will feel that it feels more like strength training, okay? You're working really hard to do it. Now, again, like I was saying, because we're using opposing joint theory, I'd be doing this elbow top circle on my right side. And I would practice that in both directions, really trying to master it and do a good job with it. Now, how do I know if opposing joint theory helped, in this case, my left knee? Afterwards, I would have to test it out. right? Whatever you can kind of use that will give you some feedback on how your knee feels. That's the key. You have to assess and reassess to see if this was effective for you. Now, it won't be 100% effective for everybody, but I promise you this, if you need this type of thing, okay, if this is the right stimulus for your brain, this idea of opposing joint theory, making sure that you actually do a good job with this, because that's important too. You have to do a good job targeting the target joint. If you do a good job with this, this could work so well for you, it will leave you laughing, right? You will not understand what happened. I have seen this eliminate people's pain after one set many times, and other times it's just super effective, and it's a good thing that you can incorporate and combine with other things that are helping you with pain management for your knees. So keep that in mind. You have to assess and reassess to see if it's working for you. And just as a reminder, left knee, I move my right elbow. Right knee issue, I move my left elbow. There's a lot of neurology that we could talk about that goes into this, and I'm going to spare you that today. I am going to mention one thing, and that is one of the reasons this works, is that when I, for example, move the right side of my body, that activates my left cortex, and my left cortex will fire down into the left side of my brainstem. The brainstem has a lot of different roles when it comes to movement. A couple of the really important ones for us are it helps us with reflexive stabilization. So in theory, I should be more stable on my left side from moving, in this case, my right elbow. But it also helps us with pain inhibition ipsilaterally. So again, in theory, moving my right elbow, because it activates my left cortex and the left side of my brainstem, it will activate the brainstem, allow it to do its job better, and it may help to inhibit pain on, in this case, the left side of my body. So that's one reason why opposing joint theory can work. It's tied into our neurology. It's very cool when it works, and if it does work for you, certainly let me know in the comments. This final exercise is a nerve mobilization, okay? We're going to be mobilizing the tibial nerve. That means we're going to be taking the tibial nerve, putting gentle tension on it, and then moving a joint to help mobilize the nerve. So here we go. I generally like to start people with this exercise in a seated position. You don't have to do it seated. You could be standing, and then you would just put your foot on some kind of elevated surface. It could be like this bench, a chair, a 1 or a 2 stair, a table, whatever you have available. I just like to do this in the seated position because there are a lot of details that go into positioning your body to put tension on the tibial branch. I'm going to start with my left side. Now, what I'm going to tell you at first is that basically you could target whichever knee you felt had the problem. Okay, if I'm having left knee pain, then I'm going to try this nerve mobilization on my left side. However, because of our anatomy, sometimes doing the nerve mobilization on the opposite side of the pain can actually be useful as well. So really, the best way to approach it is to try this on both sides, regardless of where your knee pain is, and just assess and reassess and see which side is serving you the best. In some cases, you'll find that doing this on one side is super high payoff, in which case you can just do that. And then sometimes you'll find that going to the opposite side of the pain is super high payoff. So you would just do that. And then of course you might find that the exercise is great for both your knees, in which case you would practice that. So here we go. Starting on my left side, I'm in a seated position. I take my left leg out in front of me, gently lock out my knee. The first thing that I'm going to do is extend my toes. So I've lifted them up. Following that, I'm going to now pull my foot up. So this is a combination of toe extension and ankle dorsiflexion. Now here's a very subtle movement that will be difficult to see on camera. Watch this. I basically moved my foot out towards the small toe side. So I now have combined 3 different movements to create the tensioning position for the foot and ankle. Okay, one more time. Toe extension, Pull the foot up towards your forehead. That's the ankle dorsiflexion. And then finally, move the foot out towards the small toe side, but you want to do that without rotating your hip, okay? Now, my knee's already locked out. That's good. We're going to keep that. I'm going to take my hip. I'm going to slightly internally rotate it. Make sure that when you do that, you do not lose the 3 positions that you're holding in the foot. That's really important. We're trying to maintain a sequence of movements here to create the right shape of our body that's going to gently tension the tibial nerve. From here, I lengthen up. I'm going to give you 2 options at this point. The first option is hip hinging. Now, when I hip hinge into this, I get to about right here, and I feel a very intense stretching sensation traveling down the back of my leg all the way really to the bottom surface of my foot. That means that the nerve is under tension, okay? I want to keep that tension super gentle, so the distance that I use for hip hinging will determine how much tension I feel. For example, if I hip hinge really deeply into this, that starts getting really intense. That goes above a 3 for me. I don't want that. So I back off a little bit, and now I'm good. Now I have about a 3 out of 10 in intensity in terms of what I'm feeling. That's the target. Do not go above a 3. Nerves do not want to be aggressively stretched. So this is a good position for me. Now, I'll give you one other option. Rather than hip hinging, because this won't do it for everybody, you can actually round your back. Now at the bottom of this movement, I do feel increased tension on the back of my leg. So I am getting the nerve mobilization. But for me personally, it's not as good as when I hip hinge. So you choose which position, either hip hinging or rounding, whichever one of those gives you the most sensation, right? The mobilization on the back of the leg, that's the one you can try. So here we are. I'm in the tensioning sequence, and very simply, we're going to go right to the knee. I'm going to unlock it and then lock it. Unlock it and lock it. So it's a very small, subtle motion. I'm basically pulsing at the knee joint. As I'm doing that, I'm still working hard at holding the position that we established, which is hard, because once you start moving this, you might start losing that. So you got to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm going to do roughly 8 pulses, very gently, still keeping that tension at a 3 out of 10 for intensity. And then after 8 or so pulses, shake it out, and you can assess and reassess by walking or squatting or testing how your knee feels, okay? Just because these can be a little hard to set up, I'm going to show you how this looks now on my right side. Now I'm on my right leg, and my knee's gently locked out. First movement is toe extension, so I'm pulling them up. Pull my foot up, move my foot out, okay? Make sure that my knee stays locked. Internally rotate my hip a little bit, and if you want to, you can even move your leg in, right? You don't want it out wide, okay? That actually takes tension off the nerve. So ideally, your hip's rotated in, your foot is coming in towards your midline, okay? Lengthen up nice and tall, either hip hinge or spinal slump, okay? Whichever one feels like it's the right one for you. And then again, we're here, pulsing at the knee. When you unlock the knee, you'll notice that the level of stretch that you feel decreases. That's normal. When you lock the knee, that puts tension back on the nerve. You'll feel that the stretch intensity increases. Okay, that's normal. Again, just make sure you're always at that 3 out of 10. Roughly 8 or so pulses. Shake it out when you're done. And as I said before, test it out. Do some walking, squatting, lunging, bending, extending, and see if that has helped you with your knees. So why might the tibial nerve glide be important for you in your knee health? Well, we're going to look at it very simply. It's a peripheral nerve, and it supplies multiple different muscles that are important for knee function, such as the hamstrings and the gastrocs, your calves. Okay, those are really, really important muscles for knee health because they cross the knee. So mobilizing a peripheral nerve such as the tibial nerve will help stimulate those muscles. Nerve glides can be really, really useful for decreasing pain, and they can sometimes decrease pain a lot, okay? We see it all the time. They can also help with stability issues of the joint. They can also help with strength issues and even sensory deficits. Some of the peripheral nerves are both motor and sensory nerves. The tibial nerve is, and so a portion of that nerve actually also supplies a portion of skin on the back of the calf and also down to the heel and bottom surface of the foot. So sometimes people with sensory deficits, where they're not feeling things appropriately in that skin distribution, the tibial nerve, mobilizing it, can actually help restore or normalize sensation as well, which is really, really important, going back to that proprioceptive map that we talked about, because a sensory deficit would be, in fact, a reason to call it a blurry spot on that proprioceptive map. So really, all these exercises are helping to clarify that map, and so the clearer that proprioceptive map, the better. All right, there it is. I hope you enjoyed these 3 exercises. These would be considered beginner steps that you can take that look through more of a neurocentric lens to help you expand your thinking and your approach when it comes to improving your knee health. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, because every single action that you take helps us reach more people and help more people just like you. If you really like these ideas and this information using applied neurology to help with pain issues and to help you improve your movement, then definitely check out the Kruse Elite podcast, because I go much, much deeper into topics on how to use the nervous system and train the nervous system to help you get healthier and to help you move through the world in a pain-free body. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.